Dungeon Crawler Network presents Tales of Tamriel.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 86 of Tales of Tamriel, a Dungeon Crawler Network production. I am your host, Aggelos, and with me, as always, he who deleted another VR tune in order to join the pact. The good side, that would be Avi Optimal. How are you, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing really good. Another one's about to go probably later on today, so
Which one is getting the, or not getting
I
the stay of
I I,
execution?
I think my Breton Sork's gonna go. She's only VR4, so she's the easiest to toss away.
Yeah, well, that's like 2 days of gameplay for you. Who cares?
You said that earlier, and I kind of laughed at the joke, but I've already gotten 3 VR ranks in the last 2 days, so yeah, that's actually getting close to being true.
It's it's closer to true than you think. As they say,
Yeah,
most comedy, the funniest jokes are stemmed a little bit in reality. So
exactly.
yeah, the man down below, who's actually across the water. That's right. If you're looking at the video, he's below me today because that's just how it worked out, and I was too lazy to change it. That would be Asteldian. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, as I mentioned earlier, thrown off by the slight time change over here in England, but we're still here, so all is good.
Oh, oh, that's right. You guys have you turned your clocks back, I guess, right?
Yeah, you guys are next week, I think.
Oh, wait. Does that mean we gain an hour or lose an hour? I can never remember.
I think you get an extra hour, isn't it? You go back an hour in the middle of the night.
It doesn't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
matter.
we go back an hour.
Oh, great! I'm gonna wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning instead of 6 because I've been waking up at like 6. Even today, I woke up and I said to myself, you know what? I feel like it's early, so I'm gonna go ahead and just go back to bed. So I went back to bed, and then I'm laying there, and I wake up and I go, wow, it's got to be at least 10, 11 o'clock by now because I felt like I slept in forever. I look over at my phone, 7:15. Okay then. Well, I
Lay
guess
down for a good 40 minutes.
I'm gonna get back up and play some Elder Scrolls. All right, guys, let's just roll right into it. There was like zero news this week, but that's okay because they did have an ESO live, and we're gonna talk about a couple of things that they kind of showed us this week, and some very very interesting things. Um, and let's just talk about it. I know a couple of them. Avi mentioned a couple neat little quality of life issues that I hadn't even taken notice to that were mentioned. I just kind of glanced completely over them. Avi,
You want me to go over a couple of them?
yeah. Let's just go over them and we can chat about them.
All right, sure. So, ancient Nordic style armor is not being worked on.
Aw.
Animals in old zones are not being upgraded as far as like the mechanics and the way they move around because the new Orsinian bears are completely different than the old bears pretty much. So that's
Mhm.
pretty cool. They also explained why we're not getting wolf pets because they don't want to just put out the old wolf. They want to have a new wolf with improved models and animations, and they're trying to go that way with all future pets. They don't want to just bring out another pet that just kind of stands in between your leg and glitches in your stomach. So that's a nice thing to hear. And one of the last things they mentioned pretty much was that they explained why the tabards over polymorphs isn't really a thing they can do, pretty much because both of them are kind of like a disguise, and it causes problems when you put a disguise over a disguise. And then they also explained a little bit why we can't dye our costumes, which is sort of the same thing. It's more of a put-in disguise and not really something that we could go in and change the color of and mess around with.
Okay.
Oh wait,
Well,
one more really cool one.
oh
They
yeah.
they they said training dummies might come with housing.
Oh, I cannot. I just can't wait for housing because I
Yeah,
love that kind of
as soon as they
sandbox.
said housing, I got so excited.
I agree because It's
Check out the difference in player. You guys get excited to say housing. I'm like, oh, a training dummy.
Oh, I know, right?
well, I love housing because housing is just it's a level of sandbox. Like I can't stand full sandbox games. I mean, everyone loves the idea of them, but we talked about them on one of the I think the Dungeon Crawler Network podcast about how everyone wants a sandbox till they get inside, and only a select few people. Now, if you're one of those people who are really creative or are very self-driven, then you're an exception to the rule. But a lot of people who've been screaming sandbox go, "I want sandbox," but they don't really know what to do once they're thrown in one. They're like, "Well, let's give me something," but that's not the idea of a sandbox.
Well, to be fair, that's kind of depending on your expectations. If you put a kid in a sandbox, you've got to give it a bucket and a spade so it can actually do something while it's there. If a game's literally going to be pure sandbox and leave you to all your own devices, yeah, it's kind of a problem. You can throw a few toys in there to actually have some fun.
Yeah, I do agree. But see, this is one of those things where I like the selective sandboxes because I like my developer made content. I like seeing games as as the developers want to see them, especially Elder Scrolls and stuff like that. I like to see the developers take it and run with it. But I like it's kind of like I like going to the playground, okay, and they keep putting up new attractions. Like, oh look, they did a new swing set. Oh, there's a new slide. But there's still the trusty sandbox over there in the corner that I can go play in if I want. That's how I like my games. I don't want to just be limited to the sandbox. I like to have the theme park, but then be able to go, hey, here it is. I can go somewhere else and do more structured type content that doesn't require me to come up with it. And housing is just that kind of thing. I mean, my goodness. Even if they do upgrade all the trials and stuff, good luck getting me out of the house. I'll just be in there all day.
I'm gonna be addicted to housing. I don't even care how they do it. I'm so excited for it.
I guess I should say I won't be addicted to housing depending on how they do it. Because certain games, if we look back at some of the older games, like Dark Age of Camelot, for instance, is a good one. Their housing system was neat that they had it. But everything was just, you put it on a hook and then you went in and it was just a room for vendors. Like you really couldn't even do too much because everything only had hooks that you connected things to. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it really just kind of forced in everyone just putting merchants in there and there's nothing really to do. Now, on the other hand, WildStar's housing is you can do just crazy stuff, and I'm not asking to do like be able to create giant phallicid towers or anything like that, like what you can do in WildStar, but I'd like to be able to control the interior almost like Final Fantasy, that like I can literally decide, I'm gonna move this chair 3 inches to the left and it'll allow me to do that. Even if go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be more like Skyrim, where it's just like build the left wing as a library. And there it is. I mean, I hope not, but something tells me that's the way we're gonna see it.
See, I don't know. I in a world nowadays, like Asteldian, I know you can hop into this as well. How the world is now, though, I don't think you can just do that and get away with it. Like, Skyrim was different because it was not really something that, I don't know, like, it just wasn't something that you, I guess, that was a real side game. And yes, well, I know it's still considered a side game here, it's still, especially with how modern MMOs have advanced, more is required than just that.
Yeah, I haven't seen housing in an actual MMO, so that's still going to be new to me.
WildStar is free to play right now, and while I don't like WildStar, you have good internet. I recommend downloading it and going to the housing section and just run around and look at what people have done.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I mean, you don't even have to really play it. It's free to play. You just download it, run to the housing, and see what people have done with it. There's no... To get an idea, like you said, you haven't really got a chance to really see what some real customizable housing can do, and you'll see the difference between that and quote unquote just Skyrim housing, which was you bought the upgrade and it just appeared at any random spot. Asteldian, housing. I know you're not really big into this, but is anyone in your gaming circle a housing freak?
My mother.
Your mother.
She is an absolute housing addict.
Now hold on. Your mom actually plays games with you.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's been she's been one of our main healers in all the raid zones.
That's so cool.
Have you ever messed up and stood in fire and she grounded you? Because that would be hilarious.
No, it's more likely her to be the one to stand in the fire than me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm all right there. But yeah, no, she's our main healer for. She's done all, as I say, the AA, Helwa, Sanctum. She was there for our first clears and all of those.
She's done more than I have.
She's VR 16 Templar. She's
damn.
Got it all, and I think she's got a good Nightblade up there, VR something or other, and all her crafting skills are maxed out. So she's a lover of crafting just as much as you are, Eggs.
Oh my.
Yeah. So every game we've played from EQ1, EQ2, Rift. Yeah, she's been in them all. And Final Fantasy 14. She got to level 50 there as well. She's a gamer through and through.
Now that's actually really awesome.
I love
We should
I
just bring
love
her
that.
on the show.
Yeah, that's it. So right here.
Oh.
Yeah, no. So she's she loves the crafting. She loves housing and tinkering around.
Now she's
I don't
still
have patience, that sort of stuff.
is she still actively playing ESO, or she kind
Oh
of
hell yeah, she's no doubt on right now. She's probably the most active member we've got.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Plays more than I do. So,
Yeah, no, we seriously need to get her on the show from now on. It's just gonna be Asteldian's mom if I'm gonna put her title. Just so-
The
She-
family show.
the family show. Yeah, right. Just bringing it all in.
Bring my wife on as well. We'll sit here.
There we go.
Yes,
There we go. I'm cool with that. Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the other things. What was the first thing on your list? We got onto housing, and that was kind of.
Well, the first one was a small one, and that's that ancient Nordic-style armor is not being worked on.
I'm fine with that currently because they haven't. When we start getting up into when they start doing like the Hagel March and things like that, the more regions of Skyrim, then I think it would be pretty neat to add it. Right now, it's too early. Yeah, I'm fine with. I think someone mentioned it. Now that you mention, I remember it because it was part of the QA. Because I think someone was mentioning it because of the polymorph that allowed you to look like a Draugr, which they're in ancient or Nord. And I have a Khajiit who will not leave. Say hello, Khajiit. Hello. So yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Okay, next one on the list.
The next one was animals in old zones are not being upgraded.
Okay.
So,
That's kind of common.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
upgrade to what? I'm a bit lost there.
Animals. So like the new bears have like different like I don't know. They attack butterflies and they shake their head and they just do more mechanics and they look more busy and they don't look like they're just standing there kind of staring at a wall.
They've also added more polygons to them. They've added more skeletal rigging so that they can do more things. And actually, World of Warcraft did that with Cataclysm, where they went through and when they released like the Worgen and the Goblin models, and then the Panda models afterwards for the Pandarian, like they showed you the skeletal structure going how the skeletal structure of the original models was like literally 10 skeletal bones. I don't know the exact number, but it was really little compared to the goblins, which were like 200 versus the Pandarian, which were like 1,000. And actually, they went back and changed all of that, but you can actually tell as the expansions go on, when you were in vanilla Warcraft and stuff like that, the monsters were almost kind of blocky. But when you got to newer zones, the monsters, obviously you could tell their skeletal structures. They did more stuff. They looked better. And it's a lot of work to go back and redo that because there's several passes you have to go. You have to send it first to your rigging team, then to your animator team, then to art team, your scripting team in order to, you actually have to have the scripts to make them do stuff. They can have a ton of bones, but if you throw the same scripts in, they'll probably either not work or look exactly the same anyway, not utilize the technology behind it. So it's a lot of work. for very little return. Because
Yeah,
they don't
exactly.
they don't look bad. I don't think they look bad at all. It's just like it's just a lot of work.
You wouldn't notice it unless somebody told you and then you went and looked at it
I think
and compared it.
when you start seeing if you went and compare when new zones come out, you'll see monsters and stuff going, wow, this really does look different from the ones that are, especially if they share um, monsters from other zones, such as like the snow the the goblins and those durzogs and stuff like that. Like you'll probably be able to sit in and look at it, but when you're fighting, you probably don't notice much of a change until such a time as you were to sit down and just stare at the models.
Yeah.
I feel bad, and I will complain to ZeniMax for one thing. My Fennec Fox needs updated because I love that pet. Because he's adorable and he's cute and he's following me right now.
How about the panther that I bought so excitingly that I never touched because he just walks right in between my legs and his head glitches in between my damn crotch, and then he just sits there while I'm in the middle of a battle swinging out puncturing or biting jabs. I'm like,
I know
don't do anything.
Sounds like I got to buy that one.
I know they talked a little bit about. Let's see. Wow, I just got a message from somebody who may come on the show. Maybe, I don't know.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of work for things that now if they ever increase like the skeletal model of characters, like monsters and like character models and stuff like that. They really should do it for things that follow people around. Now, I know I'm gathering when people ask, will my pets be able to do anything that, or what more can I do? I'm getting the feeling that the way they answered this question was almost like a non-answer, and this is why. I'm thinking people want to do things with their pet more like what World of Warcraft did with their PokeWow, the pet battle system. While I thought that was enjoyable for what it was, I will say personally, I don't think that system or any kind of pet system, to be honest, would fit with the Elder Scrolls, except for maybe, well, they did do lizard racing in Alakir Desert, if I remember correctly. Like there's certain mini games that while it'd be neat if you could do it with your pets, how could you do it that won't break the lore? Because this game, to me, lore is paramount, and I don't want to see essentially Elder Scrolls Pokemon.
Poke Scrolls.
Elder Poke Scrolls, yeah. That would just, even if it's just a mini game, and I know people like, you just got to look at it as not part, don't look at it as just what it is. It's kind of hard, especially in a game like this.
Yeah, I just like the idea of them adding more mechanics. So some things kind of like if you get in combat, maybe your panther or whatever will like walk away a little bit, go sniff the flowers or something. So he's not right under your feet. I hope they add just little things like that. I don't want the pets to be able to battle each other, or do some Pokemon stuff. Nothing like that.
Yeah, that would just break my immersion.
Yeah. And that was the last thing on the list, actually, we just kind of brought up, which was working on making pets more personal. So
okay. I like the idea of the mechanic that you had mentioned. Like, depending on the habit of the monster, like, if you have the lizard, it'd be neat if it skittered away when you got into combat.
Yeah, if a dog kind of jumped back and just started barking or something,
yeah, barking
or just
and growling,
looked aggressive.
Yeah, see, that would be kind of neat.
Cat curls up in a ball, things like that.
Cat curls up in a ball.
Same thing as a fox. Cool little things like that I like.
You know what I'd really like is if the cat, like if you're in the Alakir Desert, would then stop and take a poop and like try to bury it.
That'd be
bury it in the sand.
That would be awesome.
Cat just goes, "Hey, I'm gonna poop," and you just go over there, you do a little squat down, and then try to bury it. That'd be neat. But they'd only have to do it in Alakir Desert.
Yeah, so wherever there's
only
sand.
poop in one zone.
You can only poop in one zone. Yeah, if there's sand, they'll poop there. That's
Can we go to the Alakira? I really got to go bathroom, man.
Yeah. They should send little messages, like little emote messages. Your cat looks like it really needs to use the restroom. Head to Alakira immediately.
Oh man.
Those poor red guards. We just converted their entire zone into a giant litter box. Yeah, that was a thing.
That was Tawaka's plan all
Tawaka's
along.
plan. Praise Tawaka. All the
Praise
Khajiit
Tawaka.
love you. Man, when they release more of Elsewhere, maybe we'll see some of that. The whole place is a giant litter box. All right. Let's see here. All right. The last thing I guess we really wanted to talk about, and pretty much the main focus of this entire episode, is what they talked about on ESO Live, and that's the group finder. Well, for all intents and purposes, we're pretty much going to say this is the very first time they're introducing the group finder, because they might as well, because it never worked before. But I'm kind of excited, and I kind of want to hear what everyone thinks about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the high points of this. And I do got to give a little public service announcement here, because I know I was talking to a couple of people, and they were all excited about the cross-faction play. Please note that this only works through the group finder for this patch. So I know we have a lot of people in the Wings of Fate guild and several others. I know ESOTR, they have their big multi-faction guild as well. It only works via group finder. It will not allow you to form a party and go into it as of now. That they said they'll probably come later, but for Orsinium, it's not going to be there. So don't even bother whispering, going, hey, let's go for a dungeon, because you can't. Sorry. I think that's a good thing, because I know a lot of people are like, finally, cross-faction with my guild. Well, the only way that's going to happen is if you all queue up and you luckily somehow or another get matched together.
And they did say it's being planned for future updates, so we will get it eventually, just not with the Orsinium update.
Right. And that's what I really wanted to highlight, because I know I've had a couple people say, I can't wait for the Orsinium, and I had to kind of step back and go, it's not going to work that way, right? At least not at the start. And I kind of crushed a few people's dreams, but unfortunately, that's how it is. So, first step is cross-faction play. Yay. Battle leveling players to fit with a group. Retuning the way that they actually find players. Stat buff to DPS and mitigation for using the finder. Loot bags for completing the dungeon with the finder. Some UI changes, and a notification window that allow you just to port to the dungeon, sort of probably like Cyrodiil. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the first one. We'll work our way down. I'll get your guys' opinions. Cross-faction play. Good thing? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, when you're pugging anyway, I mean, it really opens your potential player base, especially if you're part of a smaller faction. Like, I'm not even sure how the faction stands anymore, because I know DC kind of got a little bit more love, because I know a lot of streamers and stuff like that have switched to DC from Aldmari Dominion. Now, is that enough to say that their population has changed much? I can't say for sure, because not everyone follows what everyone else does. But I do feel like the Aldmari Dominion has shrunk down a little bit, which is good, because they're damn dirty elves. So I'm fine with this.
Yeah, I run into them the least in PvP, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of DC and EP, and every once in a while you'll see a yellow, but it's kind of rare.
The solo guy running around sees the big groups fighting and then turns around and runs away going, don't take my Telvar stones.
Don't take my Telvar stones. Yeah. So yeah, definitely that's kind of a no-brainer. That's I'm actually kind of fine with, I hope they expand it further. I honestly am fine with the cross-faction thing working for all zones, but I think they've already said they never plan on allowing that.
No, I wouldn't like that either. I mean,
me neither.
You guys wouldn't like that?
No, I'm not even a massive fan of cross-faction grouping. It's just a case of it's a necessary evil in that dividing the faction between the player base by 3 factions is a pain in the butt when you're trying to find groups. for me, funny enough, in Rift, when they made that cross-faction, that was actually a big step towards destroying my entertainment with the game. But that one I found was actually a stronger sense of self when it came to your which side you were on. So, but here I'm not that fussed, but I'd expect it to only be dungeons and trials. If once they make it that you can actually group with your own guildies, that is.
The instance stuff.
Yeah, the instance stuff, and that's all because you can very easily put it all under the Undaunted. The Undaunted don't give a crap about who you are. So, in terms of pride and the lore, it makes sense when it's dungeons because you're putting aside your differences and you're working towards the common goal of sorting out the bad.
I mean, we're talking. It's pretty lore breaking, you know. If somebody from the AD comes and joins you, and you walk up to go talk to Yorn the Skald King about saving the Ebonheart Pact, and you got a high elf from the Dominion standing right next to you, like, yeah, let's do this for the Ebonheart Pact. Like, what? This doesn't make any sense anymore.
I mean, admittedly, the veteran ranks kind of ruined that in the first place, I guess, when you level through and do the other factions in that as well. But
yeah,
so that's already kind of diluted it.
Yeah, no, you know, actually, I appreciate that answer so much that you have swayed my opinion. So, wow, good work there.
If it breaks the lore, it's not good.
No, and you guys made a very valid point for lore, and I love it. So, right on. Okay then. Retuning the way that the Finder matches groups. Now, here's something I wanted to talk about because this will get Asteldian hot under the collar. They're not doing it because they went back, but they were originally thinking about removing the role requirements, needing the tank, healer, and DPS. They were just going to throw 4 random people together and let you do it.
God.
So, Asteldian, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you think that is an idea, and I'll let you put whatever adjective you want in front of idea.
That would be an absolute terrible way of playing it, like awful. Beyond, you know, that's you do wonder sometimes about these guys playing these games. It's like you really want to send out a random group into a dungeon. So you're already random 4 people. That in itself, already for a vet dungeon, is a nightmare. You know, there's a good chance you're going to get some pretty dodgy players in there. Now you're going to tell me you get in there and you go, oh, we don't have a tank and we don't have a healer, or we don't have either, or, you know, let's face it, what's the most common role? It's DPS. So more often than not, you're going to get a team of 4 DPS and nothing to actually help you survive through a dungeon. You know, so you finally get a finder that works. Great, we're getting groups really quick, except 9 out of 10 groups are crap because we're going in there with 4 DPS and getting wiped and having to give up and break apart, and then search again, get another group, find it's the same pointless group, and then do that again and again. I'd rather be stuck in the queue for 2 hours like the old days, just have a broken, ready tool.
Yeah. Guild Wars 2 does that, but here's the thing. Guild Wars 2 was built differently, and I understand, like, everyone can, technically speaking, get a resto staff, and it's very true, you can, but
if you don't set up for it, you ain't set up for it. Simple as that.
But yeah, like, well, they already don't have much to my chagrin is they don't have a lot of skill points. Like, you can't max everything out. It's not possible, and because of that, the chances that someone's gonna, oh yeah, I can just throw on a resto staff, unless they change the way skill points are done, that people can literally max everything and then can just throw gear around, then that may be different. But right now, the chances, unless the person's a Templar, and they could have been like me and spent all their points on crafting, so they have very, very few skill points to throw around. I have enough skill points for the spec I am going for, and that is it. Nothing else.
And if they're stamina based, it's going to be a problem anyway. Champ points, of course.
It's like they said on the show. It's they said, oh, the reason we're not doing it is because you're pretty much setting the team up to fail. Is what they said.
Well, I'm glad they realized that.
Yeah, because they said that this game has less tanks overall with all the classes, so most likely we'd be getting a whole bunch of groups, like you said, with 4 DPSs or with a bunch of DPSs and a healer. And so,
And the way Guild Wars 2 was, everyone had their own heal that you couldn't do anything else, right? It was just a heal. Like, you had it, you couldn't switch it out. You could switch what kind of heal you had, but it was always, you always had to have a heal on your bar. This game isn't that way, and
Well, it was just clusterfudge anyway when it came to group content.
It was. And here's the thing, guys. Even Guild Wars 2, with, if you've not been following their Heart of Thorns, they added in a soft trinity now. They've added in ways for people to pretty much spec and be a full healer. Like, you literally can. There are specs that can be a full healer. Now it's all ground targeted, but it's still, you can literally be a healer now. They added a taunt, so you can actually taunt now. Like, they've seen, like, our group dungeons just were essentially a cluster and not the way it is. And those dungeons were actually relatively easy. I don't know about you guys, but there's several well, I do run with all of you guys, except for Asteldian, except for on the PTS. Avi, we've done vet dungeons where if someone loses the tank or loses the big boss,
loses aggro, yeah. If they turn and go on to somebody, you're dead.
Oh yeah, I've been 1 or 2 shot already by monsters. Oh, yeah.
I have thousands of times.
Exactly. It just would have been terrible. So I'm really glad they stepped away from that, and I really hope they don't revisit it. This is just how games are, guys. If you're gonna go with the tank, healer, DPS, Trinity system, I just got a Yakuten codfish, which is a blue. Ooh, a rare fish. Pretty close. So tiny though. Sorry. Okay, off topic. Yeah, no. I really hope they don't revisit it. And guys, here's the thing: if you don't like your DPS queue time, queue is something else. I mean, if I was in a hurry, even when I was playing Warcraft, I had a tank spec, so like I preferred DPS. But if I were running my dungeons for the loot bags or whatever, and I didn't feel like, sitting in a queue for 40 minutes, I would queue as tank because I just knew I'd find a group faster. That's how these things generally are. Zos, here's something you could do. Final Fantasy XIV did this. It was a way of rewarding players. Like, they had achievements. I have to blow all this Khajiit hair off my desk now. They had all these achievements that encouraged people to play the less popular specs. Like, they offered them like mounts. Like, I know there was a bear mount and a tiger mount in Final Fantasy for tanking as a warrior and tanking as a paladin, and there were things you could do that you could offer rewards, mounts, mini pets, titles, things like that for the people going, oh, you've grouped as a healer 1,000 times in veteran dungeons. Here you go. Here's a mount. Here's a pet. Here's a title. And that encourages people, especially if the mount is cool, to try to go after it. I'm throwing this Khajiit away and spraying her, and she just will not leave. She is very insistent.
Well, my guild is casual, and we had the rule that everyone needed at least 2 specs. It's unacceptable to assume that someone else can cover the roles. So yeah, you can have your main spec that you focus on, but you should either have DPS plus a healing spec, DPS and a tank spec. Same goes, obviously, if you're a tank or a healer, you need a DPS spec, because in trials, if we've got 5 different people who enjoy tanking as their main role, well, we're going to rotate who gets to tank when we go into a role. So they're going to have a decent spec, otherwise they can't come on the raid when they're not tanking. It's unfair to assume that you can have your role all the time and never get to try anything else. And it helps you for dungeons as well. It helps you in all aspects. There's enough points unless you are a full-on crafter. And even then, you can probably just about, depending on, if you've gone with Magicka, for example, as a build, you could actually have a DPS and a heal role fairly easily, even with your limited points, because it doesn't require too much of a change around.
For me, as a full crafter, if I got another 30 points, I'd be able to pull off a tank role, because I have all the points in some things, like the armor because of Undaunted bonuses and stuff. I literally would only need enough points to pick up sword and shield. and I would be able to do it. But I need another 30 points to do it.
Well, you don't even need all the passives, though, do you? You just need the block reduction, the first skill, and when you can, the third one. So yeah, but there's probably something you could probably take a few points out. You've probably overspent here and there. So if you really wanted, you could probably kind of just about get a second spec done. But yeah, I'd say that you're also a bit of an exception. You know, if someone is a full-on crafter, you'd kind of accept, okay, they can only have full-on roll, and it makes sense that you'd make it DPS so that it kind of fills. You know, everyone always needs a DPS, as it were. So, but in general, as I say, unless you are a pure crafter, you really should make sure you've got 2 rolls. It'll do you wonders.
Yeah, I have completely maxed out woodworking, blacksmithing, clothing, and provisioning on one character. So I moved the other ones off, but that's I think 120 points to do all that, because they're pretty expensive. They're like, in order to get all the passives, which for crafting you really kind of need a lot of the passives. There's very few that you can skip. Now there are a couple. Like I was able to remove the research timer ones, which gained me 16 points total because I have all 9 of 9 crafting now. And as soon as I get my achievement for refining materials, I'll be able to regain another 12 points by just moving the refining onto another character. But I've spent too much time on researching and too much time in collecting recipes to move those to another character. But enchanting and things like that didn't require recipes, I moved other characters.
Well, you also don't need the points in highlighting this stuff, really, do you? For gathering?
I don't have any of those.
Good. Yeah, I was going to say.
Because I can see. I don't need them to be highlight. I can see them.
It's at most 1 point.
Yeah.
If you're really struggling.
Yeah. There went a big truck with a big engine. Avi, you were saying something before I cut you off.
I'm sorry, I don't remember it.
Oh, okay. No worries. No worries. I was sorry. I was finishing off a thought, and I heard you try to throw something in there.
Oh no, not a problem.
Okay,
you're good.
So yeah, I do agree. In this game, there does require multiple specs, but so many people, like, honestly, if you like that no spec, like, no one does that. And even the older games like Ultima Online, which was all skill based, the type of skills you use still made you do a certain role. Only when they try to blend roles and stuff like that. But the problem is your game is not set up that way. You're set up to have people do certain things. And here's the problem. If everyone comes in, it's not even like as a DPS, I could throw on all heavy armor to get that extra armor mitigation. Could we go through it? Yeah, if I had someone doing off heals or whatever the case may be. If I had a Magicka DPS Templar or something, just throw in a heal spell every once in a while. Yeah, that would probably do fine. But what happens if you have a DPS where everyone's leather stamina DPS? Like, no one can cast heals, because unless they have vigor, there's really no way of getting it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no heals you can really use, because if I spam Breath of Life, I'm out in 2 casts.
Yeah, I got about 3 in me.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Right now on my character, I'm sitting at, without food buffs, I'm at 13k health, 9k stamina, 9k magicka, 23k stamina. And even with the food, I don't use tri-stat food, because the better stat's the blue, BR15. So 9k is literally 2-3 casts tops. And no magicka recovery, so it takes forever. There's no way you'd be able to heal through a boss encounter. Just none at all.
And the heal's crap anyway, because you've got no magicka.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow, you've healed me for 10 damage. Well, that's great, but we're not playing D&D right now. I just got hit for 32k, so... yeah. Let's see here. Stat buffs. Actually, no, let's go back one. Battle leveling players to fit the group. So now there's no longer... I think a lot of times with the mechanical side of things before it was trying to group you, but it was trying to group people together of similar levels. So you would have people who were like level 25 trying to find groups, and if you were a VR16 and got set up with a group of like 20s, 30s and stuff, you're just like, wow, I'm gonna get nothing out of this.
So now it's more like Cyrodiil?
Yes.
That's cool. I like
If
that.
Here's the issue that I've had though. They're battle leveling everyone up to VR 15. Great, right? I guess it's not really too much of an issue, but I guess you really wouldn't be able to use. And I actually asked in chat, but I didn't hear a response. How this is going to work with gold keys and stuff like that? Are we going to still be able to do gold key content like for vet dungeons because of the way they were trying to remove certain things? Like, is this even going to work? Helm farming is just not going to happen because you'd have to form a separate group to do helm farms now because everything will be VR 15. So I would be kind of ticked off if I got a VR 15 helm.
Is that true though, that they're battle leveling you to VR 15? But if you are already a VR 16 character, presumably you don't get downgraded. It's just you're VR 16. So if you're the leader who puts the party together, it's going to be VR 16 dungeons. Just all the people in your group will be VR 15 regardless of if they're babies or not. So
maybe
I think that's how it
is. Going to be done.
Is that how it's going to be done? I was reading that. Well, I could be wrong, but
I think it still scales to the leader. So if the leader is VR 16 and everyone else is only VR 1, they'll get battle leveled to VR 16.
But then
it just means you can't cheat with a VR 1 dungeon if you're doing a looking for group type thing. But usually you put those groups together manually if you're trying to.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to get a stat buff. That was the second thing we were going to talk about after that was they're stat buffing people for rank, which is actually kind of a good thing because you don't know the skill level of the people that you're coming in. It could be a completely new person who just threw a bunch of skills on there.
Someone who's trying a dungeon for their first time, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I was going to say, that's going to be the danger, isn't it? You're battle spirited, so you're not as powerful as a real VR 15. So what if your whole group's a bunch of spirited VR 15s in the group?
If you have 3 spirited guys and you're the only VR 16 and you're a DPS and you have a pretty crummy VR 16 healer and tank with you.
So it makes it all the more important that they're not doing the no rolls. Anyone could turn up. Imagine that, 4 people, not the right rolls, and they're actually fake VR 15s as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just give up.
Just done. I'm out. All right, this cat literally will not leave me alone. She really wants to be on the show. And that's why I have my spray bottle.
You should stop sprinkling catnip in the special places then, should you?
I know, right? See, I was under the impression that the problem is if it does scale, maybe I missed this, if it does scale, what happens if the VR 1 gets in there? So then the bosses are VR 15. You're not going to get VR 16 helms. Will we be able to trade group leader? That way it works that way, so we get VR 16. Because if you're battle level to VR 15 and the stuff's VR 16, you're good enough that you'll be able to handle it.
To be honest, I would kind of I don't know. They said you scale to 15, and maybe that was a strange number to put the dungeon on. I personally, if I was them, I'd say the dungeon's always VR 16. And everyone's put to VR, as you say, 15 is close enough to be able to manage a VR 16. There's not much difference between the two. So screw it. Everyone gets put up to 15, but the dungeon's always 16. Bit of a weird idea. Maybe I guess the idea is that so that when you're a real VR 16, it makes a difference, I guess, because you're actually on the scale. But it would be a bit odd why it's 15, not 16 that you're scaling people to. But I think it would be stupid to make the dungeons VR 15.
I hope they don't.
It just makes no sense. Make it VR 16 so that everyone can get a helm appropriate to their level because it still drops based on your level. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Except obviously within the limit of the mob's max. Unless they changed that as well and said that they drop to your level regardless of when you do the scaled dungeon. It's always going to be the level of the character rather than the dungeon. So
yeah, that's how it should be. If you're VR 1 and you're being battle level to VR 16, you should still be getting VR 1 armor and everything.
Yeah, but obviously, as I say, that means the VR 16 guy wouldn't be getting anything unless they changed it. Instead, if you're doing the scaled 15 dungeons, actually the gear is VR 16. So it's just really weird. I would just say make it a VR 16 dungeon. Bob done.
I'm hoping they do that, and it really should do that because otherwise, I mean, even if they VR 16 it, which is great, they're giving us, and that's what we'll talk about next, is the stat buff, the DPS, and mitigation to make it easier for people. Like, and this isn't the first game to do that. And oh my goodness, you should have seen chat. As soon as people did that, they were flipping out about it. But I'm like, honestly, I don't really see that as a big issue one way or the other. People are like, I'm being penalized for playing with friends. No, you're actually not, because you're playing with people who you know how they play. The reason why they have to give these bonuses is because there's a very good chance you could play with idiots or people who've never
Yeah.
played before.
Yeah, I was going to say, on the face of it, I'm not a fan because I'm thinking, oh, why do you have to boost people to help them? But between the fact that, as you say, they're strangers, so you're probably not on voice comms, so it's not going to be a coordinated group. It's going to be iffy. They could be God knows how good or bad a player. Add the fact they might be battle levels, so they're an inferior VR15 to a real one. So hopefully the stat boost might help make up for some of that. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. As I say, if you're a bunch of friends, you've got all the advantage in the world already.
If I had a group of friends who wanted to do the dungeon, I would gladly take friends, even without the 5% damage and mitigation boost or whatever the arbitrary number is, because I know the people who I'd be running with, and I'd be like, the chances are you guys are already pulling 20k DPS. My tank, he'll pull the entire room. I'm not really worried about it. The healer is just amazing. I would rather take the 5% reduction and have people who I know what their jobs are than take the 5%. I'm sorry, if I take 5%, you can boost my damage by 5%. I'm doing, what's that going to actually equate to me? Maybe, on me, additional maybe 1 or 2k DPS. Well, whoop-de-doo if the other people are only doing 2k DPS. 5% is what? 3k maybe, and that's nothing, so they're still crap. I mean,
honestly, you could give the looking for group tool and say, look, when you make a group for this, you can have 5 players in your dungeon, and I'd still rather take friends every time. A 4-man friend group
definitely
over 5. You're always going to do better. I mean, our groups go fine. We have a tank who does the healing and the tanking, or you have a healer who does the healing and major DPS. You usually don't get that luxuries in a looking for group type bunch. You'll be lucky if you get someone who can fulfill their role properly, let alone do other things. So I've got no problem. Give them an edge. Help give them a chance.
Right. Absolutely.
And it's not like it's not like you can looking for group for any of the leaderboard type stuff anyway. So it's not like some dodgy, sneaky way of going, if we do looking for group, we'd have a buff that would help give us a faster time or something. So it's irrelevant in terms of any kind of leaderboards. Although good luck trying to get on a leaderboard with a looking for group anyway. But there's no reason to complain. Honestly.
No. Because that's one of the things I think the leaderboards, like a wise thing to do would be there's no leaderboards for anything other than dungeons right now, is there, or am I wrong? Like
just arenas and trials, I think so.
Arenas.
None of that can be looked for groups.
Okay. Well, even if they did add that, they should just make it so that if you're using the group finder, you don't qualify. That way someone doesn't game the system to get their team in with the extra 5%. Because some people would do that. They'd log in at 2 in the morning or something like that when they know that their group of 10 people have a very good chance of getting everyone in that they need.
Yeah.
There are people who would try to do that and just keep leaving groups until they manage to get all 12 of their people in and go for records. But the easy way to do it is just make it so it doesn't qualify, so the only people who are actually using it are the people who are using it just so they can finish it. I would much rather run with friends, but sometimes I log on and no one's on, or everyone who's logged on is a DPS like me.
Yep, us good old DPSs.
Yeah. And so there are times where it's just like, you know what? It's just easier to just do it in the dungeon finder. Like if I log in and especially with the times that I have now with the little Nordling and stuff like that, it's just very hard for me to get in. I do schedule the events that we have, so I do it every chance that I can. I hop in and I take care of running dungeons on Tuesdays and Thursdays and stuff like that. But sometimes I'm like, well, he's asleep, Thais is asleep, I have maybe an hour till someone wakes up. Why don't I just hop on in? Well, the chances are when I'm doing it, are they actually, is the people in Wings of Fate going to be available? I log in and Avi's running around on one of his alts.
Hey, all you got to do is message me. I'm always available.
I know, but then we still run into the same issue over both DPS. All right, let's find tanks and healers.
Yeah, I know.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it is. It's just the way it goes that, even I think one of the hardest things we have right now in our guild is we have almost 0 healers in the guild who actually like playing. Like, well, my wife, Thais, loves healing, but she doesn't get to play that often. When she does play, she's still only VR 8, so...
Hey, I'm working on her, all right? She's VR 6. I'm playing her every day. We'll have a healer soon enough.
Shame I
Nice.
couldn't donate you my members. We were laughing because we'd running our raids, and about 9 out of our 12 players were all Templars for our raids. It's just we have so many Templars in our guild. It's just insane. So
Well.
6 different people who can heal. It's like, yeah, you 3 this time.
You 3. No, we have a good number of tanks, but even them we don't have a ton of. But almost everyone in the guild is DPS, so that makes looking for groups very hard. A lot of the other guilds that I'm on, like Dreadlords and stuff, they have a lot of people, but a lot of times people are on. They only are on or responding in chat when it's raid time, and there's very set times, and it's normally in the evening when I don't have as much time anymore to do this stuff. So I don't get to find the groups I have, and even when you do that, there's still the problem of what spec are you? Well, DPS. What spec are you? DPS. Looking for healer and tank, and we're still in the same group. So it would just be nice that I could hop on. I could get in the queue going, oh, the daily pledge is Veteran Spindle Clutch, because why is it anything else? Because that's all I ever see, or Fungal Grotto. Um, and pop myself in a queue and go farm in Kraglin or get my crafting done, since that's why I've, kind of nerfed my character by doing so much crafting. I might as well, do some more crafting, right? So go out and gather and do all that fun stuff. And then when it pops, oh, there's my dungeon. All right, well, let me pick this last little Nern root and then hit the queue. That works for me. I like that. Yes, I know there's a good chance that I'll get hit by idiots. And speaking of idiots, my Khajiit went nuts because a leaf hit the window she's sitting in, so she tried to attack it. Yeah, no, I really do like that. And as long as the dungeons are VR 16 with everyone being battle leveled to VR 15, unless you're above that, like if you're VR 15, you're not going to be battle leveled. If you're VR 16, you're not going to be downscaled. This is only for people who are VR 14 and below. So it is a neat way of doing it, and it should provide some interesting things. The only problem I foresee, which could be in any game, is if someone hops in, I guess they wouldn't be signed into a veteran dungeon or something. But like, say you're trying to do the silver pledge, the non-vet version, and someone signs in as a tank, but they're a new player. They have none of the quote unquote meta skills, and since they're only level 10, they don't actually have skill points. So it's not like you can be a friendly player and go, hey, you really should pick up X skill because it's just better. And they go, oh, great, I love to do that, but I don't have any skill points. So it could make the dungeons pretty difficult. Just because scaled to VR 16, they are up there. And if someone's using just a crap skill because they're like, oh, that sounds great, but it's so situational that they're not using it, it could cause some issues.
Well, yeah, I'd like to assume that for a start that no non-vet character can be done to get into a group for a vet dungeon for a start. So at least they're doing an easy version.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
gotta admit, it'd be nice if they sort of said, minimum level for it'd be level 20 or something, so you've got some skill points to have actually played around with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or even
level 5's too low.
Even would be a bit crazy, but I'd even say, if you're low level, maybe as a battle level guy, maybe you actually give them temporary points, and the skills are falsely sort of 50. Because if you're battle leveled up, I assume it's got to have your skill level at 50 for your weapon line or whatever. I don't know how it works, but I would suggest that while you're battle leveled, your skills are all 50, and you have 20 spare skill points that you can dump, so that you can customize for the dungeon, as it were. Just a nice idea for the low level type guys, because otherwise, as you say, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the only way you're actually going to have those issues is, as you say, if you're doing the low level, which are generally easier anyway. I mean, my goodness, most people might even be able to solo dungeons if they have the right build. So that might not be that big of a deal, but it could just be some growing pains. And I hope the community helps the lower players rather than and I'll talk about this in Tales. I actually met my first real massive a-hole in the game this week.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah. And he was not interested in helping anybody. Now, I've done the dungeon before, but he wasn't interested in helping anybody. He was just angry that he was dying and the group wasn't doing that great. And after the final wipes, he just went nuts and started kicking everyone from the group because he was the group leader, and then started inviting all of his own guild members, I assume, because it's just assuming what he would have done. But
it's always the douchebags that get it, isn't it? They always get the leadership.
yeah, it's like, how did this happen? How did he get it? And then, but yeah, so he did that, and he was like, "You're terrible, kick off, kick off, kick off." And I assume because he's at the final boss, he just invited some of his guildies in, and they finished it. But yeah, that was a thing. I don't know. I would feel bad if a brand new player, someone who didn't have many points, signed in as a tank or a vital role. If a DPS is not necessarily a vital role, and if you have a scaled guy go in there with very high damage, then he can cover, right? It's okay. We have one guy who's literally doing 1k DPS, but we have a guy over here who's doing like 25 for a silver. I think we're okay, right? More than enough. But a tank role or a healing role is pretty vital, and there's only one of those in group dungeons. So if they are doing incredibly poorly just via being new or skill choices, and they don't have skill points to change it up or take advice, it could make it very, very unforgiving. And if the players are a-holes, make it seem like the community is just a terrible community to be in, which it's not.
Yeah,
it's always the way. I mean, that's why back ages ago when the wife and I used to run sort of the training dungeons, it's because she heals and I tank, and we knew from there it didn't matter how inexperienced or useless the extra two people would be, because we could essentially pretty much duo the dungeons anyway. You just need someone to do any vague kind of DPS would be enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been fights. Hell, there's the fungal grotto fight, the nasty spider woman in the cave.
Yeah.
I've been in a group where everyone was dead, so I had to solo it down on my tank, and because he was built as the sort of healing / tanking guy, it was a slow fight, but essentially we're still going to win because there's no way it's going to be able to kill me. So I just slowly beat it to death. So if you've got the tank or a healer who's good, then you can usually carry through, so it's all fine. And it's really an ideal world if you've got someone who's an ass, you want them to at least be a healer or tank, so they're a key position. No offense to DPS, but I always think to myself, they tend to, them with an attitude, I think, you know what, you're a dime a dozen, to be honest. We've just mentioned how there's a lot around, so don't be giving me attitude, because the fact that we're struggling is because you're not playing. If you're that good, you should frankly be playing a key role,
right?
Something we can't do without. Don't sit there in a role where essentially you've taken the sort of the easier route, as it were, and now complaining about the other guys because you've got a new guy who's never healed before, a new guy who's never tanked before. Mm-hmm. Well, we know if your healer's never done it or your tank's never done it, you're going to have some serious trouble. So, if you're the better player, rather than being frustrated, why don't you step up and say, okay, I'll go into my heal build or my tank build, mm-hmm. and from there we'll be able to get through this dungeon.
It might be slow going, but we can do it.
Yeah. So either they don't have that build, and therefore they've got no right to be moaning about the fact that others who have taken up that role aren't doing very well, mm-hmm. Or they're just too lazy and they just rather be a bitch about it instead.
Yeah, and sadly we don't want that, because we want people to be. This community has been so great that, honestly, this is the first real dick I've run into. I've not run into many. It's been few and far between. Now, this guy was obsessive. I'm talking classic MOBA level dickish. And sorry for the people who play MOBAs, but you know who I'm talking about. Those players, and that's the level he was. Yeah, no problem. Mm-hmm. And it was wow. I reported him. I normally don't report to many people because I really don't care, but I'm wow, he's just a massive dick. And
I don't get too many dicks, or jerks, for using that word, but jerks, because and most of the time it's usually I get a tank or something and he's pulling everything, and it's don't pull the ads, just pull the boss, and they look at me and they're like, you know what? I know what I'm doing, bro. I'm gonna pull it all. Don't worry. And it's all right, but we're never gonna finish, man. Stop pulling the ads. Mm-hmm. That happened to me last week, and it's some people just aren't willing to take advice, even when advice very much needs to be given. So.
Right. And I can even deal with those people. You get those people. A lot of people who think when they know what they're doing, they know what they're doing, and they
But
don't.
when you get one of those and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna be in this dungeon for hours.
Yeah, I know. It's unfortunately, as I always say, MMOs would be so great if it weren't for all the other people in them.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. I agree with that. I love
uh,
that.
it is. It's you're dealing with the human populace, but you're also dealing with the human populace who um, has the added bonus of anonymity from the internet, so they can be more of a jerk than they would be in real life because there's really no repercussions. What
Oh,
happens? They leave the group, and what the chances that we're ever going to run across each other in a virtual world again are very limited. So it's like, who cares, right?
And if you do, they'll be leader again.
And if you do, they'll be the leader again. Yeah. Um, so it's just those areas that people tend to act out and act in different ways because there are no repercussions in real life. They would be like, they may be furious and angry, but they're not going to do anything about it. They may huff and puff or they may leave, but they're not going to do anything because there are repercussions for being that type of person, whether it be legal or social or anything like that. Like you get that stigma of, man, this guy's a jerk. No one's going to want to hang out with you, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the thing is, in a virtual world, you can literally just make a new character and no one will know who you are. So people tend to favor the worst sides of the social structure just because they can get away with it. Oh my goodness, all that reminds me of it. It's not off topic, but it actually does kind of fit. Does anyone remember when Blizzard announced that they were going to start using everyone's real names on the forums?
No.
No.
Oh my god. It was announced that like with the battle tags, what they were going to do is they were going to make it mandatory for everyone to use their real names on the forums. Like what their account name was, what was going to be their real name, not their character name or battle tag. It was going to be like whatever your name was on your billing statement. And the reasoning behind it was then people wouldn't be jerks on the forums because people would be able to find them out. Well, there was such a flare about it that they actually reneged on it and came back and they never did it. But that whole thing, people were terrified to have their real names out there if they were trolling or what. And some people had it for actual real reasons, and I can understand like not wanting to have your real name out there. But a lot of the people went up against it because that just absolutely terrified people who were used to trolling or just being complete dicks on the internet. It's like, oh my goodness, my real name's going to be out there. Now it quickly got shot down and they didn't do it, but the fact it was even announced, and one of the main reasons was it should keep people from being as jerky on the forums. That was kind of funny.
Well, when I played on EverQuest On, I played on a special server, it's the roleplay server, and you couldn't have ults on that one, so you only had the one character.
That's good.
Yeah, and given how tough it is to level, I mean, people obviously bitch about veteran ranks. But it would take you about a whole evening session to maybe get to level 2.5 in that game. So,
Wow.
if you're an ass, believe me, you weren't planning on re-rolling your character anytime soon. So you had to be careful. And each server had its own sort of forums, and it would have the blacklist there. So people would very clearly mention such and such is an ass for this, that, or the other. Maybe he's a ninja looter, so he steals everything, or whatever the reason. So reputation was everything on there because it could destroy you. Because in a game where you can't go around soloing everything, you needed people. So it was a very different environment to what you get nowadays in games.
Well, that's because there were repercussions for your
Yeah,
actions because you
big time.
needed other people in
And
modern
nowadays
games.
you can just isolate yourself and go, well, all right, if you guys don't like me, I'll just play by myself. Well, back in the day, you weren't able to just play by yourself.
or find other people to do it. But older MMOs, the communities were smaller. When there were only 1,000 people on your server, your name got around pretty
Well,
quick.
even guilds, if your guild had a reputation for being real arsey with people, it had problems because if you were the guild and you went to Plane of Fear or whatever, and you guys all died, well, all that high-end gear you have is on your corpse, and you can't get it back because you've got to try and get your corpse. And if you fail to kill all the monsters every time you go in there, you're going to die. So you'd need another guild. It happened to our own guild when we were playing. We need another guild to come along and get in the zone for us to kill the monsters so that we could get our corpses back. Well, if you've got a reputation that sucks, you ain't going to get any help to get back in there and get your body and loot back. So that could be 12 months of your life, and your gear is just stuck. And you have to wait and hope another guild goes in there and raids it, because obviously it's not instant. So you'd actually just hope someone's gone in there for their own raiding reasons, so you can sneak in there and get everything back before the respawns happen.
Right.
Whereas if you actually had a good reputation, you can say, hey, is anyone able to help out? And when it happened to us, within 15 minutes, because I knew a guy, because I'd grouped with his alt once upon a time, because he had 2 accounts. He brought in about 15 guys, sorted it all out, and we were back in action. But yeah, God forbid you had a bad reputation on the server, because you'd just been ignored.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the ignore function actually meant a lot more than it does today. Most people fill up their ignore list, but you didn't want to get an ignore list.
My list is huge.
Yeah, ignore lists meant something back then, because it wasn't maybe not even an in-game function. Your name went on a forum somewhere, and people were like, no, just don't go near this person. And,
well, yeah, because you'd shout, oh, looking for group in a zone or whatever, and the first thing you'd actually do when you see the guy's names, you'd actually probably pop onto the forum and just double check his name's not there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a farming place, maybe a specific item or whatever, the last thing you want is someone who's known for being a ninja looter turning up and jumping in, stealing the loot, and then disappearing.
Oh, so,
yeah, you're very careful. So, you screen people. It's like getting a phone call and you check what the number is before you actually answer,
Right. No, that makes complete sense. And it is what it is. All right, let's see. Notification that pops you into the dungeon now. So, like I know before, when the rare occasion that it actually did put you in a group, if you were signed up for multiple, you had no idea which group it was for. It's now going to do something similar to what Cyrodiil did, where you'll literally your queue's now available. Hit E to enter, and then you'll enter at whichever group it is. You went right into it. That's a nice quality of life, really. Yeah. Nothing else. I got fur on my face again.
Does it tell you what role you've been picked for? Because that was always a pain. You click on everything, you turn up, and you have no idea whether or not you're actually supposed to be tanking, healing, or DPS.
If you open up the group menu, it normally tells you.
Okay.
Because it has those icons that represent it, and it's normally lit up whichever one you were supposed to be in. But
well, don't you light those up personally? Or
you do.
So
but
like
then
you can have DPS and healer lit up at once. So it's an idea that you can do both.
Because I'd tick all 3, and then I'd get in the dungeon and right, who's the tank? Who's the healer? Because I don't know if it's me or not.
Well, if you're one of those guys who can do all 3 roles and you really are ticking all of those, I guess you have the choice.
I'm guessing once you get into the dungeon, you gotta kind of figure out, am I being the tank or the DPS in the situation?
All we know for sure is that there is at least 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing, because at least it kind of encourages at least some vague conversation to go on.
Yeah, right.
Is it me tanking, or did you need something else?
The vines forbid that you actually communicate in an MMO.
Just pure silence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not actually used to looking, obviously, because it never worked. So anytime I've ever been in a group, it's always been actually from people shouting that they're looking for a tank, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll come along. So I've never actually done the automated one before.
Yeah, I'm imagining there will be a little bit of conversation unless you open up the group list and go, wow, I'm the only one with the tank icon, so I'm guessing I'm the tank.
Yeah.
Which 9 times out of 10, I guess you probably would be.
Yeah. So that works out. Final thing we'll talk about is they're adding loot bags to encourage people to use it. Good. I like it. Because that's really great. Let's speculate what we think is going to be in it if we don't already know.
I got an idea.
Okay.
All right, we're going to have geared decon, a soul gem, and maybe a malachite shard.
That's what I say, a bunch of trash. That's what's going to be. I'd like them to put it in as a chance of getting the shoulder. Or
that would be neat.
That would be cool.
Even if it was a super low chance, like a 1% chance.
Like the silver key chance or whatever.
Silver key has a chance of actually getting a shoulder?
It's going to next, isn't it? When the next patch.
Gotta start saving those.
I think it's a tiny chance. I could have sworn that's what they said. I could be
Oh.
imagining things, but I thought that's
No,
what they
that could
told
very well could be. Oh, and another public service announcement since you reminded me for the people. Save your keys. Because November 2nd, when the Orsinium patch comes out, the only way to get the mercenary motif is via those dungeon bags. So save them. Run them, save them, open up, get loots. So
Yay, another reason to do dungeons.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know they don't have any type of currency system yet, and I really hope they add one, but the bags would be a great way of adding more of that. You know what I mean? Like, you can run a dungeon, let's just say you get 5 tokens or whatever it is, or whatever the currency is for finishing a dungeon. You can run that as much as you want. Well, once a day you can do the pledge, or you can use a dungeon finder, get a reward, and get a bonus of an additional 10 or something.
Yeah, Rift did it really well doing that. It stacked up to 7 times you could have it collected, so basically 1 a day. But
Yeah.
it would refresh each day. So if you're on for 1 day, you might do dungeon 5 times and get the bonus 5 times. And then you might not be on for the next 4 days, so you'd add those 4 up again. Rather than being that if you miss a day, you've missed out. As long as you keep yourself below the 7, each day, if you weren't on, you'd gain another use of the daily.
And that's
basically.
wonderful. That's a great thing to do. I know Final Fantasy started doing that later as well, because originally it was once a day, but if you by chance weren't on to run the dungeon that day, you only got the 1 chance. Like, Saturday I have all day, I can run dungeon all day, but how it was before, you did it once, you got the bag, and that was it. They did something similar where every week you would get 7 chances, and as the week went on, Sunday you had 1 chance, Monday you had 2, if you didn't use them, and by Saturday you had all 7.
Yeah, which is an awesome way of doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And I would really like to see that. That would be really great.
I'd actually, to be honest, it's obviously not so easy because the dungeons change, but in a way I'd like the daily dungeons things to sort of stack up as well. So of the week set of dungeons, you can sort of pick them from a list, as it were. So come the Saturday, you can sort of see if you can get groups for each one.
They kind of do that already to an extent. And I wish, like you said, they would allow us to do it they do maintenance every week. It'd be nice if they just reset it during the maintenance. But yeah, allowing you to pick up Undaunted more than once a day, like, let's just say Tuesday you get 1 or Monday you get 1, and by next Monday it resets again. So you can do multiple. That would be really cool to do. I would actually think that'd be really neat. But the issue, I think, at that point would be, what dungeons are you going to get, right? Like, how are you
that's where the complication comes in, isn't it? I mean, 7 days a week, seven times in the week you should be able to get it, and I don't think it's that complicated. But
no, not if they let you do it from the dungeon finder. Then you just go and go, okay, I got Spindle Clutch. Well, let me go ahead and just queue up for Spindle. Zos, if you're listening, definitely think about letting us do that. That would be really great, especially for the people who can't play every single day, but can play like 12 hours on a weekend. That'd be great to catch up.
Because sometimes you just don't feel like doing a dungeon, or the guys you were going to do in Trivia don't make it, or whatever. And you just can't be bothered to sort of find another reason to go in. You just think, not tonight. I don't feel like doing a looking for group tonight. You're too tired to deal with a bunch of strangers, so you just want to give it a miss. So yeah, just saving it up so you can just get on. And also, like, it's a problem I've got with the game in general, or modern MMOs in general, I should say, because ESO doesn't stand out for this, is that sometimes I can't be bothered to get in a group or get a group together for the sake of essentially a 15-minute run. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what, we get together, we run it, it's like, and we go our separate ways because there's no need to be in the group anymore. So sometimes just, more often than not, I can't be bothered to do it simply because I don't feel like putting a group together for that 20-minute run. If I could save up the dungeons, for example, suddenly instead it gets to the Saturday or whatever, it's like, you know what, my mate's on today, and I know such from the guild's going to be on. It's like, hey, how do you guys want to do a run? We'll do 7 dungeons in a row, sort of thing. We'll spend our day running the dungeons.
Yeah, you can make a whole day out of it.
Well,
I love that.
Well,
it's worth arranging.
Oh yeah. Well, we do that right now with our pledge nights on Tuesdays. But if we were able to save them up, I'd say we do it like on a Saturday or something, and we could have up to like 5 dungeons.
Well, that's it. The event, because that's it. Do the event. Oh, okay, do our daily. It's a great idea for an event, but the problem is essentially that could be a 20-minute event. It's like,
that's the problem. Everyone gets on a call and meets up for 20, 30 minutes, and then it's over, and it's like,
Yeah, that's why it can be hard to get people for an event, because they can't be bothered for for that quick 20-minute run. So it makes it
harder to get the people to come back. They're like, that was just a short little thing last time. Why should I go do it again this week?
And the same with us, because I gotta say, I've got a friend. He doesn't play as often anymore, but if we give him a call, send him a text, say, "Hey man, you want to come on and do something?" But we'll go group and do something. Oh yeah, I'll be there. But it's not worth oh yeah, stop what you're doing, pop online, and we'll spend 20 minutes doing a dungeon. It's like nah, that's not worth it. But if you're saying, "Hey man, Saturday, we've got a whole collection of dailies worth to do. Come on, we'll spend the whole afternoon just chilling out on the headset, playing through the dungeons,
Drinking some mead.
yeah, exactly. It's just really making it a proper event of it.
Yeah.
And that's, because when DSA was all the rage, at least that was a long, especially if you're learning the place, it could take you hours and hours. And while it was tiring, it was a real group experience. You were there for a good few hours getting through it, and it was a worthwhile thing. We would arrange that. That was something we'd worthwhile. Say, hey, what are you doing Wednesday? You're gonna be around from 7. We'll jump on and we'll go through the game. And be like, yeah, I'll be there. And so that's what we do, and it was worth it. But obviously now that it's kind of obsolete stuff now, and the dungeons are 20-minute runs, it's just not the same anymore. So I think it'd be a great idea just to let you save them up and really blast them out with your friends.
Especially if you've already got your perfect dungeon set for your build, and you don't really need anything else. And I mean, helms are great and all, but like the keys are great because at this point they're adding things into the Undaunted that are going to make it better. If they start adding dungeon currencies, which I really hope they do, especially when they start doing the season type gear, having them as a way of going, well, I may not be directly increasing my character's power now, but I'm doing something that will allow me to do it in the future, right? And that would work incredibly well. And I really, really like that kind of play style.
I mean, add to that, as you say about the important gear or whatever, it's the same principle. Like, I don't have the perfect shoulder and head combos. Likely the traits aren't right. But again, I'm not logging on, getting my friends together to do a 20-minute piddly run just on the off chance I might get the shoulder and it might be the right one and it might be the right trait. But if I'm going to rinse them through, get 7 at once, do the keys, and then just go, is it there? Is it there? I'll do that. It just. So it's incentive enough if I could do it in bulk and make it a real worthwhile session. It's not incentive enough to sort of drip feed each day.
Sure. And adding more things into those bags that are valuable, super rare things that you can then, that aren't bind on pickup that are sell, that may just be convenience items or, I don't know. Like, I know one of the things that Guild Wars 2 has is a permanent bank access. And you could do it, I don't know, like there's a lot. Elder Scrolls with their lore, I don't know, it could be like a tome or something that would create a portal to the bank that would allow you to access your bank from anywhere. But make it super rare, bind on pickup when you use it, but you could sell it until then. But make it, if it's like a 0.01, the chances of them hitting the market, they would go for a good amount of money, and people would do the dungeons just at the off chance that they get one, and then they either use it or sell it. Things like that are things that are really, really, really great to do. And that's actually another thing they can do for, I know they added for cash shop value, is they added those convenience items like a scroll that would allow you to respec or access your bank, and you could buy them with gems in Guild Wars 2. But they gave a permanent item in game with a super low drop chance, and it was tradable, so people had something to do. It's like, well, if you really want the access, you can buy like 50 uses for like, $5 or whatever. Or you could save up and maybe by playing the game, maybe get a permanent access. Things like that. I don't know. That's just an example, not necessarily saying anything, but adding rewards into the bags that are more than just the crap items we were talking about, like the rewards of the worthy. Unless it was a chance of getting maybe like a legendary version of something like you got with like the top 2% of Cyrodiil, maybe that would be worthwhile as well. But
or some of the more upper motifs like primal and barbaric.
Yeah,
you can also do those.
Yeah, and even the best part about these bags are if you give the loot bags, you can really throw about anything you want in there if you just adjust the values right, and then it's a surprise goodie bag. Oh look, I got a primal motif. Well, that's a good 20k, yay! Or I got Or on average, you open up and get a few pieces of gold and a
Yeah, or
random
a couple
item.
malachite shards, and you're like, oh, cool, I got a couple shards.
Yeah, things like that. There are things you can do to make these bags valuable without breaking the game and giving people that little bit of a chance of, I want to run this because who knows what magical things could be in this bag today, right?
Open it
Or
and get
even
an
just dungeon loot.
Imperial Serrata.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even just dungeon loot. Yeah, a small chance at dungeon
the
loot.
V16 ebony armor or whatever. The stuff that drops in the unique sets that drop in dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
An
why
extra
not?
chance of
Remember.
those. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with the mystery bags and things like that.
Even with the existing content on existing gear, you can do a lot with it. So
Yeah. Excellent. That's about it we had for today, guys. That was about it. There really wasn't a lot of news out, but we really want to talk about this because this is something that, at least in modern MMOs and the type of gameplay it is, this game severely lacked in because of the dungeon finder was there, it just wasn't working as it should. And I think they're in a good place right now, especially with like the battle leveling. So it's not a whole bunch of, I got into a group, oh great, I'm with a group of VR2s or something like that, and I really wanted it to be higher. With it being scaled, it makes it so that the entire populace now has a better chance of getting into these dungeons. The math is easier to compute because they literally just have to, throw it in there. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this. All right, guys, let's talk about what we did this week in game. Avi, no, Asteldian, you go first.
yeah, go with me first. Again, I haven't actually got around to playing. I'm still on the road to recovery, but soon I'll be back in game.
Is there anything you're looking forward to doing when you're back in game?
Getting my DK closer towards VR 14, 15, 16 would be nice. Getting gold content finished with him, and then probably by then walking straight into Orsinium.
Nice.
Because I should run straight from there on.
Get ready to update all of the build guides for 2.1. Or wait, what are we up to now? 2.2?
2.2. Yeah, with the new gear coming out, that's should all be set. I mean, funny enough, I did kind of update them. I thought, well, actually, with 2.2 coming, the gear's all going to change again anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll wait.
Yeah, we definitely have some things like that need to be changed or whatnot. So
On the bright side, minimal changes to weapons and class skill line, so that's an easy update to 2.2. That's just changing the title.
Nice. Okay, Avi.
All right, so my week's been pretty calm too. Even though I've been playing a lot, I've just been playing a lot on one character, and that's my Breton Templar, a female. Her name is Estelle of the North, and she's easily becoming my favorite character. She's the one that I want to get to VR16. She's gonna become my main. I'm loving her. I want to start healing. I'm completely pumped for this. So my goal is just get her to VR16. I got my Nightblade to VR14, and I set him down right away. I went, all right, I'm done with you. And so I'm working on her, having some fun. We just got into Rivenspire, or we just finished Rivenspire. I did it all in one day. Sorry. So, I'm in the Doomcrag right now, just finishing it up. So that should be fun. And that's pretty much been it. But one of the things I've kind of realized about my new way of leveling is like, how do I say this? Okay, my Imperial Templar, my main character, all of his like weapons are like, his restoration staff is like at level 3. His sword and shield is at like level 5. Like everything is really low except bow and two-hander are both at 50. And that was kind of one of the problems I had when I was leveling him. But now, with my new way of leveling, my Templar already has level 50 in all armor stats, 4 of her weapons. My Khajiit Nightblade has all of the weapons level 50, all the armor is level 50. Everything's pretty much maxed out besides the PvP bars and the Undaunted bars, because I haven't been doing pledges with him yet. So I'm finding a new way to level, which is really nice. I think I might even start working on a little written guide for it, just because I've heard some people have been asking for a a good leveling guide, and I think I'd be really good at doing that for the simple matter that I've leveled
Everything under the
eight
sun.
eight alts, 4 Templars, 2 DKs, a sorcerer. I think I'd be pretty good at it. So
I
I'm
agree.
already started. Yeah, so I'm already starting working on that. So a little teaser. Hopefully that will come out sooner than later. But yeah, that's pretty much been my week. Just trying to figure out good ways for leveling my alts, and getting ready to delete one of my poor DC guys so I can make my fancy Nord Dragon Knight.
You have chosen well, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna take him slow though, you know. I have no rush on getting this guy to VR 14 or anything like that. I'm gonna learn how to tank with him very slow. Get into some low level dungeons and learn tanking. Kind of like what we said before, how nowadays you can get in this game and you can play it up to VR 14 and have no idea about your class and no idea about what your class can do. So I'm trying to do the opposite with some of these new guys and actually learn tanking and healing from low levels all the way up to end game.
Very nice. Very nice.
And that's been about my week.
Okay. I have to open up the thing here because I know I've done some things. And I didn't write almost any of them down. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I know we ran pledges. I know we did Imperial City. We were doing sewers, I think, right? Like we had Avi,
Yeah, we
you were
did the
there.
sewers with Ark and Ark and
Oh,
I'm so
Sam.
sorry, Sam. There.
Yeah. Which was really cool because I know Sam hadn't been there before, so we got to actually take someone in and got all the way down to the final event down there, and he got to see all that, and we got to fight some different people, and kind of neat. I got to see Lefty Lucy. If you guys follow the PvP scene, he does a lot of videos and stuff like that. He's a I actually got to fight him in the sewers. I got my butt handed to
I was
me.
gonna say we got killed by him in the sewers.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you're completely built for PvE, I have nothing in terms of meta for PvP. Like my skills are all designed around optimal DPS for PvE, and that does not really bode super well for PvP because I have like no snares on my bar, I have no shutdowns, nothing like that. It's so that makes it rather difficult. I did get one perfect row just now, and that was exciting. I literally, because while I've been here, I've just been like, you know what, I'm just gonna fish while I do these, because I never fish. I'm like, I'm just gonna fish while I do the shows from now on, and I got one perfect row because I went and opened everything. So yay there, because I'll cook that up into some Sigic Ambrosia potions and sell those, make some money. The other thing that I know I did is I was telling you earlier, I think it happened today, Sunday, that what I had done was I saw someone advertising in chat that they were trying to sell the claws, the bloody claws. And they were selling 60 of them for 45K, and I jumped on that because I had like 60K on me and I hadn't banked it yet. Because normally every time I hit over 10K, I put 10K in my bank, and it's just a way of me not spending it because it's not on my character. And that's worked out for me. But I hadn't got a chance to bank yet. I sold a couple things on the market board, and I had a little bit of excess cash. And I was like, you know what? What the heck? I haven't opened one of those in a while, so I'll go ahead and do that. So I went to go do that, and it was really cool because what I got out of it was for 45K, I got my VR16 Necklace of Agility, which I needed for my build, with the robust trait, not some crap trait. So that was like, I don't know, almost 100K worth necklace for me. Now I used it. I didn't sell it because, you know, I was looking to buy it and I wasn't seeing anyone selling it for less than like 120K or something like that. And I have the money, but I'm kind of a what's the word?
Cheapskate.
I wasn't gonna use cheapskate, but yes.
I'm the same way. I got the gold for the agility set, but I don't want to let my gold go.
Yeah, I was gonna. Oh, miser. Miser's the word I was looking for. Um, because yeah, I didn't want to spend it on that because I would rather play the game to get it. Like, yeah, I like having the gold so I can do certain things, but I'm hoping that gold is used heavily for housing. So I'm trying to save on that, and I just like to have a stockpile. I like to be like Scrooge McDuck, jump into my giant, you know, Scroogean vault and just dive through the coins. You know, that's what I like to do. So I didn't buy it, but I got that necklace, so that immediately made me super excited. So I put that on. I also got Zivkin bows, which I hadn't had, so I learned that. And oh, excuse me, and I got an agility, a shield of agility with a divine's trait on it. And according to my master merchant, it goes for somewhere in the 20 to 30K range. So if I sell that, I made back the majority of my money. I got a Zivkin piece of the motif that I didn't have before, and the necklace that I needed for my build. So it was a very profitable turn of phrase, for, that I did. I'm like, I could have got crap, but I actually got three things that were all super useful.
Yeah, you got lucky. That's a nice one.
Yeah, I mean, I got a motif page I didn't have, and even if I didn't have it, I could sell it, and it's bows, so it's a popular one. Well, I guess not super popular because bows are kind of got nerfed to heck and back again. But it's still more popular than, say, belts. Belts is kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, who cares? But if you get one of the bigger pieces or a weapon, they generally go for a little bit more because people like using them, right? And they're visible. So that went well, and the shield wasn't worthless. It didn't have some crap trait on it or bad skills. It was actually really good, and it's actually a really good trait. And of course, then I got my perfect necklace, and not one with a crappy arcane trait or something when I'm doing a stamina build. Um, Segueing right into that, I guess I should probably mention that I have given up on the battle mage.
Oh man.
Yeah, you notice I've been saying stamina again.
Yeah, I forgot you changed.
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to test out the build in our pledge night, but we didn't have a healer, so I had to go on my sorcerer, my VR2 sorcerer, and so I did that. So I didn't get to try it out. So I did a pug with it, and thank goodness the pug I was with was really good because I was watching my DPS numbers and they were absolutely terrible. They were like 3K was all I was doing, and
how did you manage that?
I don't know if it was just the gear I was using or the build I was looking at was requiring you need a lot in thermitage for magic damage. The problem is you also need a lot of points all the way around. The build I was looking at kind of works with like 300 and some odd points, and I only have like 150. So I don't know if my thermitage wasn't enough, if my skills were good the way they were, like it in PV or in questing and stuff like that, and in Craglorn, I felt like you could just never kill me because I was literally taking on Craglorn bosses solo because I was just regenerating so much health with puncturing sweep, and it was a really neat build. It felt powerful. But when you actually sat down and looked at the numbers, you realize it's like, wow, I'm literally doing nothing.
No, you're definitely doing something wrong, man.
I don't know what I was doing wrong. And
What I love about that build is the fact that it is A, it's easy to do. B, it is cheap to start up. I recommend to any Magicka build type guy because I used, well, I still do because I haven't changed my gear. Martial Knowledge, which isn't even VR 14 because the VR 12 stuff's like 500 gold a pop. So I wear 4 of those bits. My jewelry, I'm only using the crappy 4 pieces of healer. So I'm not even using the Cyrodiil's light stuff because I'm too lazy to buy them as well. I got the Torrogs on. What was it? No, it's 4 Magnus now. So 4 Magnus, 4 the is it 4 the Martial Knowledge, and then the 4 jewelry, or the 3 jewelry, and then one other piece of healer. And that stuff gets you well over 10k easy. In fact, I think I was hitting close to, in raids, you're between 15 and 18,000 at that point.
Can you tell me what the martial knowledge? Because my build was literally I had
Well,
my
you use the weird stuff, Magnus and something else, don't you?
Eyes of Mara. Now Magnus and Eyes of Mara are essentially the exact same set, except for the 5 set. But I was using 2/4 pieces.
Eyes of Mara gives you 2 sets of spell power?
Yeah. No.
No, I don't think it does.
The Eyes of Mara is the exact same thing as Magnus. It's just the things are switched around. Like the sets, like I think, what is it? Magicka Recovery, Spell Damage, and Magicka. Those are the 3 pieces. Those are it's identical. So that's why I was using it, because I'm like, well, they're essentially the same thing, and I'm getting 2 4-set bonuses.
Yeah, they're the same thing, but you compared to Marshall, you're missing out a whole extra spell power set. Because Marshall is 2 spell power sets, and so that gives it. So
but you're dual wielding too.
Yeah, like I was dual wielding. So if you go,
I would lose something with the 2-hander.
Yeah, you would. But that's So yeah, you're missing the strength from the 2-hander. That makes it a little trickier. But then I'd probably go with. Nowadays I'd go with 5 Kagrenax anyway. And then I'd probably go 2 Torrogs.
Okay.
And then you can do the 3 healer jewelry pieces plus 1 more.
Would you recommend the willpower set if you've happened to get it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, if you've got the willpower set, take that. Definitely.
I don't know why I was doing so poorly. Like I was doing 5 light, 1, for the Undaunted, but my DPS was just abysmal. Like do you have to build up on DCN? Or did you never get that one done?
Because I didn't do that one because it was literally I was just using what's his name's from Tamriel Foundry, so I wasn't just gonna essentially nick his build and put it on there. So there wasn't much I changed of it. Now it's
let me look here real quick, and I can tell you what I was running for skills.
And I don't have loads of points either, so I've got the 30 points in whatever tree you need for the crit, and then I put the rest in Thaumaturge. So I was only running about 30 points or so in Thaumaturge for WoW. I used I would recommend against using the Crescent Sweep at lower level, at lower champ points. I would say stick with the Mage Guild, the Meteor. You'll get more out of it because the Crescent Sweep only comes into play, I think, when you've got a lot of Thaumaturge, practically max.
Yeah, I was using Puncturing Sweep. Actually, I gotta pull it up here. Let me catch this one fish. And I was using that ultimate, but I did have the Mage's Guild on the other one, but I was just doing so very poorly. Like I couldn't die. We were fighting the first boss in Crypt of Hearts, and I just could not die. I mean, I had 1 healer, the tank died, the other DPS died, and there was at least a dozen enemies on us, and I just was not dying. But I don't know. I just was not doing that good in terms of damage.
AoE wise, you won't. Mind you, on the boss should be right, but AoE wise, you won't if you're using the puncturing sweep, because it doesn't do that good.
Even on single target, I was doing terrible. Like it was just really, really bad. But I was using puncturing sweep. I was using. What was the other thing I was using? Oh, I had the opposite of Dark Flare, the Solar Flare one that. Oh, that was part of my AoE build.
Yeah, Barrow from the other.
Now, my AoE build my AoE was doing like 28k when it was a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was using that. I was using Blazing Spear, and that was pretty much my only things I used. I kept popping those, and that was enough to nuke everything. Rune Focus, so it was Puncturing Sweep, Rune Focus, and then what was the other? Structured Entropy. And then Mage Light, and what was the 5th skill then? So it would have been Puncturing Sweep, I'm counting here, Puncturing Sweep, Mage Light, Structured Entropy, Rune Focus, and there was one more skill. Why am I drawing a blank? I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
Your finisher. Destructive Oppression or Radiant.
Oh, Radiant Oppression. Whatever. Yes, thank you. Yes, the Execute. Yes, and that was my build. Then I used the Adric Spear ultimate, the easy one. But I was only doing 3K, and was it my gear that was so bad? Like,
Well, I don't know what jewelry you were using.
I was just using random purple jewelry, VR.
So,
Yeah, just reduced spell cost with Magicka. There was really no set bonus or nothing.
so you're already losing one from. So you've lost one set from your actual gear, and you've lost another spell power from your jewelry, basically, because you haven't got one there. So that's spot 250, or willpower is even more. So you're probably losing about 300 odd spell power there.
And that would equate to 7k DPS loss at least.
No, I don't know. Maybe no, I don't know if it's a bit.
Because you don't really need to weave other than a weird light attack weave, right? Like the random.
I do weave with I just do a light attack. I like a light attack at the end of a puncturing sweep.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I found you, dude.
Yeah,
I've been looking for you this whole episode, and I found you.
I know. I saw this guy swinging at me, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And I highlighted over and saw Raz. I'm like, "It's Avi." You just saw him in Craglorn. You heard me talking about. I'm just fishing in episodes, and you've been searching for me. Nice.
Yep, ran around water.
Oh, that's awesome.
Obviously, timing the light attack weave is great, but it's not going to take 7,000 odd off your DPS if you don't get it.
Well, the difference is, like, I have my ping is really bad.
Well, that's what I know. So it's not going to destroy your DPS. Essentially, you should still try and get a light
I'm
attack.
still doing, like, even with the stamina build though, I'm doing so much better. Like, I was doing anywhere from the 8 to even with really high latency, I was looking at least 10k on stamina.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stamina will always come out on top, but yeah, you should.
Well, not by that much.
No. So I would say it definitely went wrong there because I run with a ping of about 120 to 160.
Yeah, that's what I run average, somewhere in the 200.
So it's decent, but not. Well, that's not great, but it's not crippling. It doesn't. I can still time it where my light attack happens right as the last sweep happens, and it can be a bit off sometimes, but it's not breaking me.
It shouldn't equate to such a huge drop.
No, yeah. So something definitely odd was going around there because
maybe I'll try it again. I don't know. Like, I really did feel invincible as the battle mage with the Magicka because that puncturing sweep just does so freaking much healing back to you. It's
amazing. When I used to do the vet DSA, it was great knowing that when things went wrong, my character could keep going. I think in one of them, in fact, actually was actually on the stream where everyone died except me, and I just carried on hitting away and then killed everything, threw a few reses out. It's a nice build to stay alive and kick some butt.
Well, I was really looking forward to it because of the Maelstrom Arena, so I was looking for something that had a little bit more. Like as a stamina, I can come up with a survivable build at the expense of a lot of DPS, right? Like spread some stuff out and get some Magicka. Like my DPS will go down, but I wanted a build that I could kind of go into anything with. Yeah, I don't have to be the top of the meters, but I want to be competitive. The only way I can get a stamina to have that kind of self-sustain, because I don't have the the resolve yet. So like if I could run and keep resolve running and rally running, I'd have 2 hots ticking off me, would be fairly decent, but it still doesn't have the survivability that I felt puncturing sweep did by still doing damage. Like I was still doing damage, I was still wrecking face, and I thought it was going really, really, really well. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing wrong in that case. Like I just don't have a darn clue. And I was kind of upset about it, especially after I ran that dungeon. I was just so angry at myself that I'm like, I'm going back to stamina. Even with my inability to actually weave effectively, I'm still pulling at least the minimum DPS value for trials, and the 8 to 9k. And I know I could get it higher if I could weave better. There's such a delay. Like even my weapon swap for buffing is very difficult to do because there's such a delay in weapon swap for me that it's hard to run both bars. And I know that's really hurting my chances, right?
Which is one of the great things of that Magicka build is you don't need to swap unless you're AoEing, so you've got a single target bar and an AoE bar.
Yeah, and that worked wonderfully for me because I'm like, this is fantastic. I can just do everything I really needed. And again, I was only running VR 14 gear because I wasn't going to waste the stuff on it, but it still shouldn't have been that low. Like, because I'm only running VR 14 gear now on my stamina and still doing better than what I was doing then.
Yeah, I mean, light 3K, that should have been just doing light attacks for the whole fight.
Yeah, I don't know why I was doing so absolutely. And I was using a two-hander because I do love my two-handers. I really don't like dual wield. I know it's not optimal, but aesthetically, I prefer the two-hander. It's just how it is. So,
because of course, even with the light attacks being a bit off at the end of the day, because your Magicka build, the light attacks you do isn't much damage anyway, so it's not like it really makes or breaks the build because you're probably not even doing 1,000 damage per light attack anyway.
Yeah, it's just ultimate generation is the only reason why you're even doing it.
Yeah, ultimate and just a tiny bit more damage because every build counts. But yeah, so
yeah, I don't know why I was doing so terrible. I mean, maybe if I had better, like, if judging from a two-hander perspective, okay, like, just I'm going two-hander here, what would your opinion be? Like, what would you recommend that I do for gearing without spending an arm and a leg? Let's just put it like this, just to start out, because I would like to give it another shot, because I really feel for, like, Maelstrom Arena that build would have been amazing for Maelstrom just because of the insane survivability, but I need to be able to do more than 3k DPS.
Yeah, as I say, I start with a 5 set of the Kagrenax, or obviously come Ulcinium, you could go with the Julianos set or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be the same sort of thing. And then I'd probably do 2 Torgs, and I'd say that leaves you space for the 3 cheapy, because healer jewelry costs nothing these days. So 3 of those pieces. And then the belt, healer's belt or whatever, that should equal the 8 pieces, I think, overall.
Would it? I mean, okay, let's just say 5 Kagrenax for now.
5 armor pieces, and then that leaves you 3 more armor/weapon slot, and then 3 jewelry. So yeah, you've got 6 slots left. So yeah, Torgs will take 2 pieces.
Which would be like my weapon and one other piece.
And one other.
And then you would have a 3-set bonus from the jewelry, which would be the healer.
Which would still leave 1 armor piece left to be the 4th piece of healer. Because that'd be the 11 slots, wouldn't it? 5, 3, and 4. No, that's 12, and that's too many.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting here going, I'm looking here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No,
okay,
you're right, yeah, it's because I used to play with 4, didn't I? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we do 5 set of Kagrenax for now, but then Julianus later. So there we go. So we got our 5. That leaves us with 2 armor and a weapon. So that leaves us with 3.
Yeah, so 2 Torgs. And then not much else you can do that weapon, unfortunately.
Well,
unless it's a
you'd be able to go 3 unless you were going with an art. Like I was using Moleg Kenna, but you would want to use Moleg Kenna because it adds 129 spell damage for its 1 set.
Right, no, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, so
yeah, because so
you've got 5 pieces used up. So you've now got, let's say you've got 5 pieces done. You've got the head and the shoulders left, and you've got the weapon.
Yeah. So you'd be able to do 5 Kagrenax, 2 Torgs, 1 Moleg Kenna for the spell damage, because it does add 129.
Well, no, that one... Well, yeah, you could do Moleg Kenna otherwise, but as I say, otherwise you've got 3 jewelry pieces and that 1 leftover part, so that'd be 3 jewelry plus 1 more healer piece. So that would give you the 4th healer.
Okay. You'd have to drop the Moleg Kenna.
Yeah, well, I'm basing that on going with the cheap. Obviously, if you've got the willpower jewelry, that's 3 jewelry, and you've got the Moleg Kenna.
Yeah.
That's your ultimate setup. 3 willpower pieces, the Moleg Kenna, 5 Kagrenax or Julianos, and then 2 Torgs.
Okay.
And then you're rocking serious spell power. And
I'm literally going right now to craft the stuff. I don't even know why. Like, I want that Magicka build to do better. Because right now, the stamina build is fine as it is. Like, it's really not that bad. Like, I do like it. I do like some of the extra... Nothing is quite as good as the dodge, but the problem is the dodge isn't even that good anymore because of the compounding cost.
Yeah.
Like, once upon a time, I'd be able to dodge every which way, but I was not running out of Magicka at all. Like, I just literally was never running out of Magicka. Because as long as I was standing in that rune focus, I just never ran out of Magicka. So
that's another thing to keep in mind, though. I mean, depending on how your Magicka's going, you might not even need to recast the rune every time, because It lasts 20 seconds anyway, and depending on how the fight's going, you imagine you can probably kill it before you need to recast. And you do not have to stay in the circle, so don't worry about recasting it every time you've moved. You get the magic regen regardless of where you are.
Really? I did not know
Yes.
that.
So you're not stuck in there. So obviously, if you're currently recasting that whenever you move, that's going to waste DPS. Or, if you worry about that, you plop it down. As long as you're not going a million miles away, it still gives you the magic buff.
That might have been part of my problem then, because I really was casting every time that I wasn't standing out of it. Because I know it's the 7-second whatever, but that might have just the buff, but that might have just been the spell protection that you have to stand in it for, the armor.
Yes, that lasts 8 seconds when you leave, but certainly it never used to, and I don't think it changed because I'm sure I double checked it when someone had thought it had changed, but it didn't seem to have. So you should find you don't have to move, or you don't have to stay in it. So you can go wherever you want. You don't have to recast it, and it also makes a difference because obviously, when you're trying to fight in DPS, and if you're trying to stay in the circle, you probably keep sort of looking down, sort of paying attention to what you shouldn't be. Going, am I still in the circle? So
Yeah.
that's going to distract you from doing what you need to do. And yeah, so don't recast it. Just let it go until it runs out. And
Okay.
move around freely.
Maybe I'll spend the money in respec then and play with it, because it's only cost me about 15k to respec total. Because with all the points I have,
Respecting it.
oh,
no, probably not for
actually,
you, 'cause
hold on a minute, because I actually have all of the. Let me see here.
In fact, yeah, because if you've got the armor points, yeah, you don't need to.
No, unfortunately, this time I didn't put all the armor points in because I think I messed around with it and was playing around with some different stuff. So I would need to respec because I don't have the light armor and I only have 4 skill points left, which is not enough to get all of the light armor bonuses. So,
Fair enough.
but again, it's only 15k total. It's like 12k for the amount of points I have, and then 3k for the. Well, actually, no, it'd be more than that. It'd be like 18 because of the points I would need to do for respecing the champion points and attributes. Because I'm full 64 in stamina now, but I'd have to go to Magicka.
Yeah.
I mean, 20k is not really that much money. It's really, in the long run, not that much money. But I really did like that build. Like, it felt very reactive. Like, I don't like Rally, but I feel like I don't have the survivability without it because it's literally you hit it and you forget about for 30 seconds. I mean, I guess you sort of got the similar thing, but like the healing comes on that build, the minimal healing, through actual doing skills, puncturing sweep, to keep you alive. You don't need to really worry that much about it there. And as a Magicka build, I could do things like be a quasi off healer because I have magic. I can throw Breath of Life on my AoE bar, for instance. And
I always have it there.
And if I need to heal, it's just swap my AoE bar, throw out a few lights or a Breath of Lives, and then I'm golden. And I really like that idea, but I just felt so weak in that dungeon, so disgusted with my performance. The group I was with was wonderful. They're like, don't worry about it, man. I'm like, I am so sorry, guys. I'm still new to this build. I wanted to test it out. I thought it was going to be better than this, but I am terrible at this. I am so sorry. I felt awful. I was like, dude, you guys I'll leave if you want. This is awful. But they're like, no, we'll finish it. So those were some great players I was with. And the DPS I was with was like, it's okay, dude. I'm doing like 30k DPS single target. You could literally do nothing if you wanted, and you'd be fine. But I felt so bad. I hated it, and I immediately right after that I just dropped the cash and went and respec because I'm like, I know I can do better in this other build. I think the other thing for aesthetic wise, while I do love the melee weapons, like I really do like that battle mage style because it makes me feel more like a Templar because I'm using my stamina build. The only real Templar abilities I use is biting jabs, which is the majority one I'm using before, and the light one, the power of the light. And that's it. That's all I'm using. And that doesn't make me feel very Templar-y because they both have very minimal spell effects. But like standing in the circle gives me that glowy feeling, the biting, like there were just a lot of the abilities that made it feel like, wow, I'm doing really good here. Like
the AoE solar barrage, it just feels awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Even
shooting at that fireball around you is just brilliant.
even not needing flawless Dawnbreaker on my bar, because then I was
Oh,
able
God,
to use the sweep attack. While it doesn't look overly great, you get that pulsating light off of you that just makes you feel like a holy Templar, right? Like you're just beaming, because after you do that attack, you also do a little bit of AoE damage to everything around you for a few seconds after, so you're literally radiating light. And just aesthetic wise, I really like that build. And with my
Well,
big
that's the only reason I went with Magicka. I couldn't have done it otherwise for that build. As I say, you feel like a proper warrior, Templar type guy. You're
Yeah.
in the melee, you look glowing, funky, cool. It's just everything you could want.
Yeah, and that's why I really like it, because I am a melee guy. I prefer melee, and that's what I like to play. Like, I don't want to play anything else. I like being in the thick of combat. I like you. I hate the staves. I feel weird holding the stick of wood. It's just like, no, this is not a proper man's weapon. Give me a blade and
Yeah,
let me go at it.
exactly. So I love that I don't have that on either bar. And it just feels right. And I even wear heavy chest anyway, so I've got plate mail chest on. And I think it's actually my shoulders I use for medium, because it's not optimal, but I didn't like the cloppy
Well,
like.
Using Mole Kenna has that metal shoulder
Even
look
better,
anyway.
Yeah.
See, this is Zos. This is where it's perfect if you ever introduce that individual, like the Rift's wardrobe system, where we could just make whatever armor we wanted look like it. That would even be better, because then we could really go crazy. But yeah, no, I run with the Mole Kenna. One of the reasons why I love the Mole Kenna is it looks like the Emperor outfit, the Emperor armor.
Yeah,
with
the shoulders look so cool.
It does. And I do like it. I mean, looking good's half the battle. So I do the heavy chest. I have the Mole Kenna, which right now is light, but preferably medium would be what I would want for it. Actually, no, it wouldn't. Light is perfect for a Magicka build, because you would want to put medium on like legs or something.
Yeah, head or legs.
Head or legs, or head or because of the extra armor. I think I'll do head, just because I generally don't show my helm anyway, so I don't really care what the helm looks like. Right? It just doesn't matter to me.
As long as you can get some decent looking light pants. Otherwise, which of course if you're crafting it you will, I suppose you just get a decent pair.
I normally my last time I did it, I made Daedric, because I liked the robe look. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, the lower half robe.
Yeah, and I think the Daedric's the only one with that. I think. Because I like the lower half being the robe. I don't know. I just because I'm right now I'm wearing the battle mage costume right now because of that fact. I like the heavy armor, chest, shoulders, and gloves, but then I'm wearing the robe for the lower half, and I love that look. I don't know. Like I really do want that Magicka build to be better, just because I can use more of the skills. It just looks awesome.
Yeah, something must have gone weird, because as I say, it does work if you get high numbers, and weaving, while it's good to do, is even less important, because obviously on stamina your weaves do a lot of damage, where
Yeah,
the
they
Magicka build they don't even reach 1,000, I don't think. So the fact that you don't do it in perfect timing every second or 0.8 seconds, whatever, doesn't really matter.
As long as you do it every 6 seconds to keep the buff up, you're almost...
Yeah, well, you want to do it after every attack, obviously.
Yeah.
It's extra damage. But yeah, if you've accidentally missed one and it's gone straight to the next punching sweep, it's not like your DPS has just dropped in half. You've lost almost nothing. But
yeah, because on stamina builds, your light attacks literally make up like 30% of your damage.
Yeah, they
like,
do thousands.
It's very, very high up there, and if you're not actually doing stamina, then yeah, I guess it wouldn't. Your light attacks would only equate to a couple of percent rather than the majority, which is what I was really hoping for, because yeah, I mean, good news, real life stuff is I am moving in like a month, because they want to close by like November 27th on the new house, so I will actually have really good internet again. So I might actually be able to do the weaves and the things like that, and be able to be pretty good at it. That is at least the hope. But I still like the idea of that Magicka build, because even with my The build I'm running now is a variation of a two-handed variation of Alcast's Jab's Mania build on Tamriel Foundry. His is a fantastic build. He has the numbers behind it. I don't like dual wield. I know it's better because you get the extra 2 set or the extra set bonus, but aesthetics mean a lot to me, and I really like that. So yeah, I'm not running it optimally, but his build is very, very good. Albeit he even marks it in the thing going, if you run this build, it's almost completely reliant on a healer because you have like no sustain or not sustain, but any healing of your own other than rally, and rally's not even on his bar. I had to modify it because he runs with a healer, so it's very reliant on combat, prayer, and healers to keep you up. It's an all-out raid build or a heavy PvP build. Actually, I don't even think it's PvP, but that's one of the ways you can look at it. And while it does do considerable damage, it would probably do even more if I was better at the weaving because of my terrible latency. It's very hard to do. I still do pretty good numbers with it, and at least 3 times what I was doing, so I had to be doing something wrong. It makes me sad. Makes me very sad. Wow. I went for a very long time, almost an hour show, and just about most of it was gameplay. So guys, let's go ahead and wrap this up. We didn't get any new emails this week or anything like that, so we'll go into our final thoughts. But first off, before we do any of that, be sure to follow us over at our website, dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, on our YouTube page at youtube.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork. Be sure to leave us 5-star reviews. Let us know in the comments section whether or not you have any questions, comments, anything like that. We like to hear from you guys. That's really, really great. I do tend to answer every single comment we get on our YouTube and things of that nature, and we do highlight people who leave us 5-star reviews. You can follow us on Twitter at Tales of Tamriel, and you can follow the Dungeon Crawler Network itself at DungeonCrawlNet. As for myself, you can follow me at AGGELOS_WF on Twitter. In game, I am at Aggelos, AGGELOS. Final thoughts for me. Show was fun. We talked a long time with 0 news, but I'm excited for the group finder stuff, just so I can run more dungeons, because it's very hard with my new now baby schedule to be able to run dungeons with as many friends and stuff like that. I still section off time so I can do it, but it is very difficult for me because when he's asleep, or it's very much dictated when he's asleep, I hop on and do stuff. Well, that could be any time. He doesn't really, even though we try to put him to bed at 8 every night, he doesn't necessarily go to bed at 8 every night. And I like to spend time with him and Thais, so this will definitely help my gameplay style, because most of my gameplay is on Saturday mornings, because that's when I'm up. I can play, I can do what I need because the wife and the baby are still asleep, and I can do all that kind of stuff, but it's very hard to do anything else other than that. So I may have just died. Yeah, I just killed myself. Yeah, because I killed somebody when I was stealing, and now I'm gonna die. Okay, Asteldian.
Yeah, it's we did manage to talk quite a while for having nothing to talk about. I'm looking forward to the living group changes. I think the group finder is in desperate need of improvement, so a bit sort of long overdue, to be honest, but hey, they got there, so that's definitely good. And I hope they don't wait as long to extend that into being able to group the guildies for the same sort of style of being able to do dungeons with them. So fingers crossed that comes sooner rather than later as well.
Mm-hmm. Avi.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. Just like you said, I'm really excited for when we can finally all group up cross-faction, and I can use a couple of my DC guys again and pull them out from just sitting there. But yeah, if you want to find me online, you can find me on Twitter, in-game, pretty much everywhere at Avi Optimal. That's AVIOPTIMAL.
Nice. Yeah, Zoss, you better hurry it up, because at this rate he keeps deleting characters. So if you don't come out with this pretty soon, he's not going to have any DCs.
Right when I delete my last one, they're gonna release it.
That would be a kicker, wouldn't it?
Oh no, I
just deleted my last DC. I'm all EP now. By the way, tomorrow, cross faction anywhere. Flip a table. That's what
Flip
would.
desk. Yep.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Tales of Tamriel. Be sure to be back next week while we talk about more things Elder Scrolls Online. Everyone have a good night.
Good night.
A serpent lights the ancient sky, a thread of tainted stars. Evil stirs, and in its wake the souls of mortals sway. And sorrow reigns over fields of red, and spirits pace through the shadows cast by their grace. These are days and nights of venom and blood. Heroes will rise as the anchors fall. Brave the strive, reclaim every soul that belongs to the beauty of dawn. Darkness strikes to blind the strong, but faith will guide our swords. Loyal hearts will stand as one and fight with shields of hope. Pride feels the deadly fire that